This is a game that is going to completely take over your life because it will take so many tries before you get to the second world and even the map will be against you. When I spotted this in the latest Steam releases, I had to try it. Seeing the trailer reminded me a lot of mini-shoot adventures and it gave me the feeling the game was gonna be something special. So I played it, I loved it, and now I want to share all about it. What makes that thought stronger is getting to the start menu. When you're in here, your ears get blasted away with amazing music, but that's often a sign the game will be good. After the starting screen, the game story begins to play. I tend to ignore the stories, but it's something about Fimbulwinter, Ragnarok and the Norse gods being robots. If you're done with that, you get to playing the game. First you do a tutorial, which is a must if you want to know the game and how to interact with the Bifrost. Especially since when you come into the safe zone, there's nothing for you to do other than listen to Loki, proceed to ignore him and then use the Bifrost. I love the city, but I think having Loki and not having Thor is a tad bit sad. But Loki fits more to the story. Whenever you start your run, on the map you have to choose the level you play in. And in games like these, that's how it often begins. But I really like how it's showed here. I quite like how the choice here can make or break your run. Especially when Fimbulwinter is lurking around the corner, you really have to think what the smartest choice will be. What makes Fimbulwinter especially dangerous is that when you do a level in it, your max HP will drop with 1 HP. I think if you have a high health character like the Moose, sacrificing 1 or 2 hit points isn't that bad. But if you get chained hit by an enemy, you will wish you have never sacrificed that HP, especially when you don't get enough use in the levels. There are also levels with a chest next to it that will have a lot of loot. They are very tempting to get, but as Fimbulwinter is getting closer to you, I don't think it's worth to grab it. To make it even harder, there will be some levels that have a radiation effect to it. It irradiates the enemies, but I don't really have a clue what that does. But I can imagine it makes the enemies stronger. Fimbulwinter also has another thing that affects your runs, because some levels have an ice crystal, meaning that there are spinning ice crystals in levels sucking you in. And because they damage you together with losing 1 max HP, I don't think you will want to enter those levels. The map also can make some levels have a special effect to them. Most of the time this means you will be up against a mini boss. Those fights are quite fun, but when you don't want to face a hard enemy, you can also choose a level where it doesn't spawn. But I think the normal enemies in the other levels are way harder, because there are so many, they are fast and they eat away from your health. To counter the health a little bit, you can choose from different characters with each different stats in the game. I'm quite fond that they each have different skills, because that makes you play the game a little bit different with each character. Only unlocking every skill is a little bit of a problem. Whenever you finish a run, you get an amount of XP to level your character. And with those XP levels, you can get skill points to get the skill. The problem is that if you switch to a different character, they don't stay the same level. So you need to level another character before you get to use any skills. And because you don't have any skills yet, the levels will be even harder. I however love the content in the levels. What you come across looks great and sounds amazing. But the feature I love the most in levels is how the enemies you face most of your time suit in what area they are. This makes me want to explore every zone, even if you have to take the max HP penalties from Fimbulwinter. Another great thing in the levels is that you have all kinds of weapons, and especially the collection in the safe zone. It makes me want to try out every single one of them. You have ranged weapons and you have a few melee weapons. The game lets you take 2 weapons on your body, so I like having a combination of a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. Using the melee weapons is really fun, because you get to cut bullets or reflect them. But they also have a downside where you can get sneak attacked by enemies that come out of nowhere. So if you use them, you want to pay attention to your surroundings. The only real problem is that the melee weapons are quite weak. So if you're fighting enemies like the wolves, you can't kill them in one hit. But to counter that a bit, you can equip mods to your weapon. I will always like to add one triple barrel to make the melee weapon do a little bit more damage and have a wider range. Because you have 3 slots, I also like to put 2 dual cooldown thingies for a little faster attack. Some mods will make your melee weapon need that type of ammo. The different enemies are also really fun to fight against, unless you're fighting against the big characters, because it will bother you in one attack. One more thing I love is that some will drop ancient weapons. Those weapons will have 4 mod slots instead of 3, but I sometimes skip them because the weapon is not really good, although I really enjoy the feature being there. If you want to see more of these game recommendations in the future, consider subscribing, and if you'd like to see another game right now, click on the screen.